This module is called Collaboration with Mobile Government Application Developers and Security Professionals. There are many reasons for collaboration. Let's start with the application developers first. They view the world from a point of view that has to do with usage of the application. They're concerned with the front and the back end as resources for that application. They're also concerned with notices and reports for outages, maintenance, and incidents. That's the world that they focus in on. Using S4DLC, which is really an acronym that I'll explain here in a second, as a methodology is actually good for collaboration. There are 4 iterations of S4DLC. The first one stands for Systems Development Lifecycle. The second one, Software Development. Third one, Security Development. And the fourth, Service Delivery Lifecycle. The 2 that we want to focus on primarily are the software and the security one for this conversation. So organizations that use ITIL collaborate. ITIL creates a culture of cross-team collaboration that's based on data and helps avoid tribalism, which is about operating within your own team and not recognizing the need to collaborate across teams. Mobile app developers on the front end, think of the front end resources in terms of how many users will we have, not about how will I support this many users. So here's some good tips to do some user load translations. So translate from we will have n users into we will need the right infrastructure to support n number of users. Here's an example. Translate each infrastructure element to a user count. Each new virtual server supports an additional n number of users. A new physical server with X number of processors and this amount of RAM and this amount of bandwidth will support this number of virtual servers, which will support the n additional users. So this is a way sort of to translate very general terms into very factual types of terms. Your servers vendors can help you with doing this kind of math. There's also the back-end resources. So who controls the back-end data storage? The IT staff with their storage area network to set up administration, to do the cabling, the storage, the provisioning, the maintenance, etc. How about the application developers with the database development team as an example? They're involved with design, with relationships in the data entities, with the fields, with logging, with auditing. Those are the different aspects of things. What is shared? What is coordinated? Is there a third team? Who does this? Database server design and administration, backups, data retention, data restoration, clustering, high availability, configuration, failover, all of these are part of the considerations of the back-end resources. These responsibilities must be assigned. Mobile application developers also get concerned with notices and reports about system outages typically. Maintenance notifications, they need to be able to answer who, what, where, when, why, and how. They need to have contact information for the maintenance owners, which actually may be different from the system owner. So having that kind of information in advance is critical. Sometimes you also need to be able to have a conference bridge information in case of maintenance problems that require multiple people from multiple organizations collaborating together. So incident reporting and remediation is about performing the investigation into the incident itself, documenting the findings, drawing the conclusions, and presenting the options to prevent it from happening again. It could be a technical problem, an operational or managerial changes that are required in order to prevent it from happening again in the future. Now let's transition over to the InfoSec professionals. The InfoSec professional's job is to protect the systems and the applications. There are different kinds of roles here. One of them is called a security engineer. Another one is called penetration tester. A third is system auditor. And a fourth is the chief information security officer. There are many, many more different kinds of roles that exist here, but here are an example of 4. Where the security engineer is about designing, assessing, implementing, and auditing system security controls. Whereas the pen tester is working under very controlled conditions, is about attacking those controls and attempting to break into the system. The system auditor is really more concerned with validating that the security controls and configurations are actually operating as established and by standards. And the Chief Information Security Officer is responsible for the security of all the systems and applications within an organization. So the InfoSec professional is also is concerned with system logs. The login and access audits in terms of how many successful and failed attempts were made, particularly looking at the failed attempts, how many attempts were made to gain access into a system. That information could be current or it could be from many years back, so maintaining your logs within the policy, the log policy, is important. Another kind of log are called event logs, to establish what was occurring on a system when a breach occurred. It helps to identify the possible exploitation method and who possibly was the source of the exploitation. System compliance records are another important aspect of logs for information security professionals, where you have information about the service pack or the security patch that was implemented, even possibly information about replacement parts. Who did we buy a replacement part from and when? What happened to the defective part? Who authorized its return and its destruction? In summary, it's important that there be collaboration between software developers and InfoSec professionals. It's essential. They have different jobs, it's true, but they also have common goals. It's important to think of the S4 DLC, particularly the software development and the security development lifecycle methodologies, as a forcing function. And ITIL is also a way to help govern and ensure that that collaboration actually takes place.